What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to take a little bit of a look at some new Keyforge cards. Now, these are a pair of cards that were actually discussed on the live stream by Richard Garfield when they announced the second set. But for whatever reason, they took a while to come around, and I've not gotten around to talking about them yet. And I apologise for that. Let me fix that for you, ladies and gentlemen. Let me fix it for you. The cards I'm talking about are Pant Packer Anger and Pant Packer Jagger. And what's really cool about these is that they were actually named after his children, which is kind of cool, chucking in some cards there for his kids. I like that very much indeed. So, they're both untamed creatures. I have a child. I can get on board with this. What does it actually do? Well, if we start off with Pant Packer Anger, it is a 5-power creature with no armor. It just, we don't really expect armor from untamed creatures. And it's got a permanent skill that's always there that reads, creatures to the right of Pant Packer Anger in the battle line get +2 power. It gets +2 power to any creature that you've got. And there are going to be some mad combos going on here. One of the things that comes to mind straight away for me with this is Mushroom Man. Now, Mushroom Man's kind of fun. Mushroom Man is a 2-power creature, which sounds really bad. But of course, you get +3 power for each unforged key that you have. So that means that all of a sudden, with no forged keys, you're up to an 11-power creature. If all 3 keys are unforged. But then, you put one of these bad boys next to it, it becomes a 13-power creature. That's more powerful than Keyforge Dragon. Now, to be fair, it's kind of a vanilla 13-power creature, whereas if we look at Keyforge Dragon, it's got the absolutely nut skill that when you fight or reap, you gain an extra ember and deal 5 damage to a creature, but by the same token, you can just play Mushroom Man. You don't have to have 7 ember in hand. So, just adding 2 power to a creature can be really, really good. We've not seen every creature from Wave 2 of Keyforge. We've not seen all that many, if I'm perfectly honest with you. But we have seen a few of them. One of my favourites of which is Roxador. Roxador has got Skirmish, meaning that when you start a fight, you don't take any damage in return. If you're attacked, then it just goes as normal. But otherwise, there we go. And it can only deal 2 damage when fighting, but when it fights, it stuns the attacked creature. Now, the fact that it can only do 2 damage is a little bit sad. But then again, by the same token, you want this to be around for a while. You're not taking any damage when you attack, you're doing 2. So you don't really want to be taken off the field too quickly. Roxador stays around. And there's a combo here with Grovekeeper. Grovekeeper says that at the end of your turn, give each neighbouring creature a +1 power counter. So if you can get a creature in between Grovekeeper and Pant Packer Anger here, they've got +2 power permanently while the Panpacas next to them, but then they're getting a +1 power counter every turn from Grovekeeper as well. And you can take some random card and it actually becomes amazing. Want another combo you can be pulling off here with new cards? How about Bumblebird? Now, Bumblebird does have alpha, which means it's got to be the very first thing that you play. But when you play it, you put 2 +1 power counters on each other friendly untamed creature. So what we have here is another way, and you'll see here, Grovekeeper, +1 power counter at the end of your turn. Bumblebird gives 2 +1 power counters to each friendly untamed creature. Now, the reason it's got alpha, as I explained in the Bumblebird video, was very simply because otherwise you could play down a bunch of creatures and then buff them. This basically forces you to buff the creatures that are there, but not allowing you to play a bunch and immediately buff them. And why don't we keep going with this? How about Nox? Nox gets +3 power for each neighbour it has. So if it's not on its own, if it's got a neighbour either side, you're a 9-power creature. But then, of course, if one of its neighbours is this Panpaca, then it's not a 9-power creature, it's an 11-power creature. And then maybe its other neighbour is Grovekeeper, so it goes to a 10 power, then an 11 power. We see a theme in Wave 2 with Untamed creatures, whereby they are boosting each other up. And we've got Bumblebird. We've got Grovekeeper. Now, to be fair, Nox kind of buffs himself, but even so. And now we've got Pant Packer. And I can't be talking about new Untamed creatures without looking at the adorable Marvis Swarm. Now, initially they look like a 2-power creature, which is very kind of meh, nobody really cares. But it gets +1 power for each ember in your pool. Now, that's not always going to be a huge amount, but we've all had those turns where we have 4, 5, 6, 7 ember in our pool. And let's hope you have, right? Because if you don't have 6 ember in your pool, you don't get to forge. So if you haven't had a turn where you've got 6 or 7 ember in your pool, you've probably not had very many good games of Keyforge. So Marvis Swarm can be like an 8, 9 power creature, and then in it comes. And look, we know that Keyforge tends to... well, they tend to theme these things. And there's clearly a theme in Untamed in Wave 2, whereby you want to be adding power. And that's the goal here. That's what we're trying to do. And it works, ladies and gentlemen. This works very nicely indeed. But I did tell you we were getting 2 of the Panpacas, not just 1. So let's have a quick look at Pant Packer Jagger. Or Jagger. I'm sure he said it on the live stream and I cannot for the life of me remember. I'm sorry. It's a 3-power creature, but if it's next to the other Pant Packer, it becomes a 5-power creature. And it's got Skirmish, but it gives creatures to the left Skirmish. I should make super clear, Pant Packer Anger only gives +2 power to creatures on the right. So it does give extra power, but let's be super clear, only to creatures on the right. There we go, I've been very clear now. So if you just put these 2 next to each other, and you've got Anger on the left, then you've got 2 5-power creatures with Skirmish, which kind of makes them like a slightly better Snufflegator. Snufflegator, 4-power creature with Skirmish. And like I mentioned earlier, Skirmish means that you don't end up taking any damage when you start the fight. Now, you can compare this with Elusive. Elusive is when you're attacked the first time in a turn, nothing happens. They deal no damage, you deal no damage. But Skirmish is when you start the fight. Elusive when you are being started on. Skirmish when you are starting it. And there are some great uses for this. One of the absolute best uses we've got for this is one of the new Brobnar cards that we see coming in Wave 2. Into the Fray. Into the Fray is a wonderful card. Now, it's an action card, it's a Brobnar action card, and it reads, for the remainder of the turn, a friendly Brobnar creature gains fight, ready the creature. So when you fight, you now get a skill that if you survive the fight, you're ready, because remember, fight skills only work, they only come in if you survive the fight, and they only work when you're starting it. So really, and I said this at the time, when I revealed this card, or when it was revealed and I looked at it for the first time, you need Skirmish here. The problem is there's no Brobnar creatures we've seen so far that have Skirmish. Loads of Untamed, Snufflegator, but we've not seen any Brobnar creatures that have Skirmish. So what we needed was a way to give them Skirmish. Now, to be fair, we do have Way of the Wolf, which is an upgrade that gives you Skirmish. But we've got this now as well. And what you really want to be trying to do, if you've got a deck with Into the Fray, is get this Pant Packer down to the right of a Brobnar creature. Preferably a fairly powerful Brobnar creature that can deal a bunch of damage. Maybe Lollop the Titanic, one of the new ones we're getting in Wave 2, which is an 11 power. And it deals no damage when it's being attacked, boo, hiss, etc. But that means it deals damage when it does do the attack, and we are absolutely okay with this. And essentially, you start the fight, win the fight because you're an 11 power, you don't take any damage back because of Skirmish, and then you ready yourself. And essentially, it's only the rule of 6, the Keyforge rule that stops you doing the same thing more than 6 times, that stops this being an infinite thing. And what you do is either take out 6 creatures, or take out all of their creatures, At which point they've got no creatures left. You ready? Oh, I can't fight, so now I'm just ready, and you reap. So you either take out all their creatures and then reap, or you take out 6 of their creatures. This is great with Into the Fray, and that's just one example, ladies and gentlemen. There are a million different things you can do to use this card and play it effectively. I'm a big fan of these Panpacas. Now, don't get me wrong, they're not perfect. They only affect one creature rather than a whole bunch of others, but just look at them. They're kind of cool. I love the design, and the fact of the matter is, they can boost your other creatures, or indeed themselves. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. I've told you about the Panpacas, but I would very much like to know what you think about them. So please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, but please do remember the rule. Be nice, would you? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and follow me on Twitter at the Wossy, where we talk about games like Keyforge, but also a bunch of others. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.